solar grids, scaling rooftop, affordable finance, and many other points. I urge all of you to visit this and learn, understand how this system is working. Now, if this is where the world wants to go, then where do we go with biofuel? Is there a need to think where biofuel needs to go and where plants and all of those aspects need to go? And this is one example of where we might want to rethink many aspects of the connection between solar energy, as indicated in Rigveda Agni Suktam, and also how we make a new relationship with the environment. So up until now, all of our narratives have been controlled by that petrochemical agenda. And here is where we might want to shift our thinking a little bit. Shown here is an important plant which belongs to the family Rosaceae and commonly known as the Himalayan cherry. And what is fascinating here is that this species can grow at very high altitudes, 1,000 to 3,000 meters. And the seeds of this, and you can see it grows in India, Bangladesh, Taiwan, China. These are the parts of the world where you find this plant. And the work here is being done at the Forest Research Institute by this PhD student, Kiran Chauhan, who has been trying to learn a little more about the oil, the quality of the oil, and the fatty acid composition, the kind of genotypes that are there and available. So there is work going on in many parts of India, very much like what Kiran is doing in FRI in Dehradun. And there are many other plants. India, for instance, is one of the largest producers of castor oil. And castor oil is a very important ingredient in our in medicinal uses. And I feel these are the areas where we should become sensitive to. We must become very sensitive to the big transition that is happening between where energy comes from, our connections with sunshine, energy, and light, and how it will re-impact the way we understand health and the connections we should make with medicinal plants, with plants that have medicinal properties, including oils. Oils, as we know, are a very important part of the therapeutic armory of Ayurveda. And if our emphasis over the next 20 or 30 years is to move away from petrochemicals, where do we reposition those plants that are currently considered biofuels? Is there a way to rethink this in terms of employment generation, in terms of reclaiming land, in terms of bringing new communities onto land that couldn't be used before? And finally, just to put everything in perspective on the energy side, I wish to share one last slide, which is from here. It's just a screen share from Cambridge. And it is what is happening here today. I guess something similar is also happening in India. This is our, it's an image from our local company here. If I could find this webpage, I just want to leave you this message so that you know where the world is going. Okay, here is our, sorry, my apologies. It's our electric buses in the public transport. So earlier I said there is a big shift going from use of combustible fuels and moving away to electric powered transportation. This is, if you can see the slide, you will be able to see what is going on here in this city. 100% electric, 100% emission, a 0% emission. And this is one of our city buses here. And from what the news item says, the 2 buses in the city, they have completed 1 year of operation. And over that period, they have done about 50,000 miles already in the city. So this is where the emphasis is going in terms of transport, electric buses, hydrogen-powered buses. And it is within this changing narrative that we have to position our thinking about biofuels. I feel there are many more such big changes that are going to come in the next decade. And the work, what is going on at the Forest Research Institute with young students like Kiran Chauhan, and what they are doing and what is it that they are going to be doing in the next few decades as they go into working on these projects and understanding plants that are there, which are medicinal plants with medicinal properties, and how they can start to shape the future. So what I have wanted to convey is that there are many aspects of our understanding right now that has come from a history of use of petrochemicals. We had almost every industry today, including the pharmaceutical industry, has a deep connection into the petrochemical histories. Now, if all of that is going to be pulled away with solar power, then what happens to that thinking and that narrative? And where do we go from there? So I hope as we continue discussing this theme, and I hope by the time we come up to the same day next year, we would have had a chance to understand where we are in terms of the global changes and where we should reposition ourselves in terms of the connection between what we are looking at as biofuels. India is a small country with a lot of people. And we might have to rethink many of those interconnections that we've made. You know, it gives us an opportunity to think about where old relationships between usage of fuel and conversion of usage of land, we will have to rethink all those areas. And that emphasis that is there on the pharmaceutical industry driven by a petrochemical agenda might have to shift, or it will certainly have to shift. And where is that shift going to take us? So it's a slightly strategic thinking. Where do we have to go? We might have to go more towards emphasis on health instead of disease care. This might be something. And the case of Principes that I showed Kiran Chauhan's work is an example of where we'll have to look around our institutions in the country to see what are the projects that are going on, what are the areas where there is immense potential for future growth in terms of what is currently viewed as land under biofuel production, how it can be shifted to medicinal plant production or production of medicinally useful herbs or health promoting activities. So I've taken a slightly different perspective on this theme of biofuel. And I wanted to shift it towards understanding the environment, understanding our old wisdom and knowledge, as in the Rigveda stories. So, Pavanji, thank you so much for having me here. I've taken a completely different perspective than I thought what you were expecting, but I wanted to emphasize the need for re-understanding, re-establishing that connection with our ancient knowledge, re-establishing some of those finer connections between oils and health, uh, areas where castor oil, for instance, that you people use for routine management of vata disturbance, apanavayu disturbance, you use castor oil. India is the world's largest producer of castor oil. It remains that way. How to rethink those spaces, but with a slightly wider agenda, how it will look like in 20 years' time when all of India is going to be electric, or the rest of the world is going to be electric, and all of India is going to be solar powered or something along those lines. So we shouldn't miss the boat. Our thinking must be flexible and keep it open. So thank you so much for giving me the chance. It is a challenge always, Pavanji. You always are challenging us to think in new ways and new directions. And so here is what I have to offer. I hope I passed my test today. This is an examination.
You are an examiner, sir.
Namaskar.
How can we examine yourself, sir?
Namaskar,
Before inviting, thank you very much, sir. Before inviting Dr. Vishnu Prasad Sharma ji, I would like to share my views on biofuel. I am definitely impressed with the concept of biofuel. Imami had one unit of biofuel in Haldia here. So I would like to just brief. In front of me, experts are there, so it's just a brief of biofuel. Biofuel, any fuel which is derived from biomass, may be plant material or animal based. So we are considering that into biofuel. Why biofuel? Increasing energy requirement day by day, thirst on resources conservation, soaring oil prices. We are knowing that petrol has crossed 100 rupees now, reducing availability, stringent environmental regulation. Types of biofuel. Biogas, methane. Methane is generally preliminary gas. Bioalcohol, ethanol, and biodiesel, where our company worked previously. Now also they are researching on that. So if we talk about biofuel plants, Jatropha, Ratanjot, we are using it in our medicine. Jojoba, we are using it. Karanj, it is best for skin disorders. Neem, it is best for skin disorders and other antibiotic and anti-pyretic property also. Mahua, the first and preliminary source of fermentation. With mahua या madhuk pushp या dhatki pushp, we can't think about our asav and arist. So in asav and arist, mahua is very important plant. Canola. This is also now oil is available in the market, canola. Previously, before 30 years, it was not available. But now it is being promoted with due to its ingredient of vitamins, etc. and other things. Pedilanthus, sunflower, palm oil, maize oil, wheat oil, potato oil, sugar oil. So how many oils are in the fray with the blessings of nature? Gasification process, generally heat, pressure, steam, material directly goes into a gas and composed with carbon monoxide and hydrogen. That is a brief. I am going into what's I view of that. Typical raw material: coal, petroleum-based material, and inorganic material, sawdust, wood chips. Generally, these items are being used as typical. Product of gasification: hydrocarbon gases, hydrocarbon liquids, oils, and char, carbon black and ash. All of these are available in gasification process. So carbon monoxide plus hydrogen more than 85% by volume, and carbon dioxide and methane. This is the general production of biogas production. Gobar gas, it is not related with our subject, so I am not going into detail of that. but it is also comes under alternative fuel or biofuel, and now it is being used in gaushalas and the villages near gaushalas. So they are also supplying energy to those villages. Our topic is of plants, so I am not going detail into that. But then also, I would like to share one thing ex tempo, that this is the right time to think. Every house, every colony, every apartment, big societies should plan their conservation system, conservation strategy, and making oxygen plants are now a factor of mohalla and pada society. 1 year before, we couldn't think for oxygen plant in our area, but now government is focusing to provide oxygen everywhere in where the locality is dense. So in future, we should rethink our strategy. Government is thinking definitely. Then also, we should rethink our strategy and use our biofuel in maximum quantity in comparison to the typical carbon emitting fuel. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Vishnu Prasad Sharma ji, ex-principal Guwahati Ayurvedic College and President Vishwa Ayurved Parishad Assam, to bless us with his motivational speech on topic. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Mana. I want to share my PowerPoint presentation. First slide.
Yes, it is shared, sir. Kindly
Okay.
go for slideshow, sir.
Good evening to everybody. Respected Professor Dr. Madan Thangavalu, respected Dr. Pawan Kumar Sharmaji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Medicinal plants, biofuel sources. Since the time of immemorial, plants are used as a food and as a medicine to remove the ailment. As per WHO, recorded 80% of the people all over the world rely on plant to remove their ailments and as a food also. So I'll tell you regarding list of the plants: biofuel, jatropha, corn, sugarcane, soybean, rapeseed, canola, algae, cottonseed, sunflower, wheat, palm oil. So what is biofuel? Biofuel is a type of renewable energy source from microbial, plant or animal materials. Biofuel can be solid, liquid or gaseous. Liquid and gaseous form are easier to transport, deliver and burn cleanly. Why biofuel? Economic growth, population explosion, increasing cost of fossil fuel, climate change. Jatropha. It is freely available in Assam, all over Northeast India, not only Northeast, in all over the India. The botanical name is Jatropha curex, kingdom planet. So this medicinal use, otherwise it is used as antidiarrheal, antibacterial, antimalarial, anti-cancer, analgesic, can be used as a biofuel. Our current knowledge of JCL is inadequate to understand their contribution in society environmental benefit. Presently, this species has received much attention because of its immense role in biodiesel production and eco-friendly fuel, biodegradable, renewable, and non-toxic in nature compared to petrodiesel, except few carcinogenic compounds found in oil cake. Castor oil, already our Professor Motan Thangavalo has explained regarding this plant. Castor oil is used in Ayurveda in so many diseases, and used to maintain health also. Castor plant is perennial shrub that can grow up to 3 to 5 meter long and found across all the tropical and subtropical area of the globe. Castor oil has numerous industrial and medicine applications, and its demand is increasing. The demand for castor oil derivative is growing as they are biodegradable, cheap, and readily available. This castor oil we use mostly in rheumatoid arthritis cases as a purification and as a cure of the diseases, and it shows very good result. We are doing work on this castor oil along with Ayurvedic medicine at Government Ayurvedic College. If any case rheumatoid arthritis, what is known as AMBAT according to Ayurveda, it comes to in our department, in our hospital, first 3 days we use castor oil along with Ilaya, Sapta, and Triphala Soros. First 3 days we use this medicine only, then thereafter we use specific medicine and we use Panchakarma and these things. It shows very good result, very good result. Stiffness comes down immediately. Again, corn, the botanical name, G. mais. It is available all over the world, but in our place it is freely available. Medicinal use, reduce risks of anemia, energy enhancer, helpful for weight gain, lowers blood sugar and cholesterol level, helpful in pregnancy, induce diabetes. Again, sugarcane, it is freely available all over the world, and we use in Ayurveda as a medicine. It gives medicinal use, instant energy booster. It has diuretic, helps in halitosis, can be used in liver disease, improve digestion. Sugar can provide high energy fuel for machine as well as people. For biofuel, it comes from sugarcane, which is grown in tropical region. Distilling the juice creates bioethanol, which can vehicle the residue known as bagasse, and the cane straw can be burned to produce bioelectricity. Next, soybean, it is also freely available. Botanical name is Glycine max. Glycan Max. It is available all over the world and it is freely available in our northeastern region and all over the India. Lowers the risk of cardiovascular disease, decrease menopausal symptoms, protection against some cancer, improve cognitive function and visual memory, improves bone health. Rapeseed canola. This also nowadays it is freely available. So botanical name is Brassica nepos. Medicinal use, a potent antioxidant because of high vitamin E content, contains omega-3, omega-6 fatty acid, which are linked with heart health, reduce belly fat, lowers the risk of Alzheimer's disease, reduce skin problems and aging signs. Again, algae. In our northeastern region, in every pond, these things are, algae are available. All the species of family, that is, all the green algae are used for biofuel, rich in micronutrients, used in cancer treatment. Next, cottonseed. Cottonseed also available in the northeastern region. Medicinal use, refined crucible remove cottonseed oil are in the following lowers LDL, nausea, fever, headache, diarrhea. Cotton itself used as a dressing material in hospital. Again, sunflower. It is freely available all over the world. In our northeastern region and India, it is freely available. Helianthus annuus. So medicinal use, it improves strength and immunity, decrease the risk of coronary arterial diseases, decrease serum and hepatic cholesterol. It has anti-inflammatory properties also. It has expectorant quality also. In India, the sunflower oil is used too much. Again, wheat. So, medicinal value, wheat bran is a rich source of dietary fiber, prevent colon disease like IBS, helpful in lowering high blood pressure, lower cholesterol, useful in type 2 diabetes mellitus. Palm oil. So medicinal value of palm oil, prevent free radical damage to the body, reduce the risk of developing cataract and macular degeneration, supplement for vitamin A deficiency, promotes weight loss, lower high cholesterol. This is an extract from the fruits of oil palm tree, which is cultivated in Southeast Asia, South America, and Africa. Besides its use as food, soap industry, and animal feed, it is an established biofuel. So thank you to all. Namaskar.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Well, within time, sir. So now I would like to ask any suggestion, recommendation, or any view from the audience. Dr. Jayesh ji, Dr. Jayesh Thakkarji,
Hello, sir.
Hari Om. Your views?
Sir, it's a excellent presentation and a very unique and new topic. So to know about the bioplants which are providing fuel and lots of things is really a thing of interest for of us. And I think we should work on this direction because Ayurveda is actually way of living. What I am also learning, it's not just a medicine and a cure. It's something more. We need to understand the various other features and the holistic point of views of everything. And I'm really grateful to listen to Professor Madan Thangvelu sir and Professor BP Sarma sir for their views. Thank you, Dr. Pawan Sarma sir, for organizing such unique seminars. And we would surely like to have more.
God bless you.
Okay, namaskar.
Any other expert from audience? Dinesh Kumar Das ji, Dr. Dilip Kumar Goswami ji, Bhumika Deka ji. If you have some view on biofuel, Anand Prakash Pandey ji. If you want to express any view about biofuel, you are welcome.
Ji, could I request Mala Kapadia, who is here, if Malaji is still here with us? Malaji, I wish to bring Malaji into the discussion because Malaji is at the School of Leadership in Sonipat. And we are looking for a new direction here in what Jayesh ji mentions and the connection between health and environment and how to start to teach young minds about this connection and to rethink that connection. Hence my first slide about the Rigveda, Agni Suktam. And when we go into that direction, you will see Bhumi Suktam also, those understandings of the connection between the environment, Panjabhutik link between the environment and the human form. We are the environment is us, what JSG is highlighting. And that calls for a new way of thinking. And Malaji would have been very good to take us into that, what is happening in Sonipat at the School of Leadership, at the Rashtraam School of Leadership. But I think Malaji might have left us already. The second point I wanted to make is about other lessons that are there, and I want to connect this in a direct way with Ayurveda. So one of the important things that we are seeing here is the pressure on land, which is, you correctly said, that there's a big pressure on land and the population. I think in a decade's time, we will cross the population of China. China has much more land than we do. And so we will be a very, very crowded space. And the policy change that is happening to shift away towards solar fuel, some of it will be realized. Our dependence on hydrocarbons will be less, and it will relieve the land for other uses. Is that good enough, or do we need to rethink many areas? So there is a vacuum left. It's just like in Ayurveda, when you do Panchakarma and you remove ama from a location, there is an emptiness there. And that emptiness has to be filled with something. And this is the same thing that will happen when we remove the ama from the system that we have, and we remove this dependence on petrochemicals and all that other things that are connected to the petrochemical industry, there will be vacuums left there, and that space has to be filled with something. And that filling has to be done in when you do Panchakarma or when you do arm patch and you remove the arm from a location, you have to fill it with something else. Otherwise the system will not quite rebalance. Similarly, when we remove the dependence on petrochemicals, we have to fill that space with something, and we will have to come into re-understanding how these plants provide health. What Vishnuji just offered, a collection of plants that are very important for establishing health, not healthcare. And what are so there is a distinction between health and healthcare, and that we need to appreciate. And how to push our discussion, and if you are talking businesses, revenue streams, employment generation, in that direction. So we have to start accepting these things, that it will not be long before we become independent of petrochemicals. And land will be a premium. How are we going to use that land effectively? And Vishnuji's listing of plants and the ones you offered will all become important. What will happen if we make a national policy on monthly use of 2 teaspoons of, or weekly use of 2 teaspoons of castor oil? Okay, now let us look at one example. How much castor oil does the country need? And where is it going to produce this? Will it be more valuable than making biofuels? You see, we have to do a recalculation here. And you are the masters, you have to teach us about this thing, about how you do castor oil as a health promoting step. Which time of the day do you use this? And do a quick calculation about the country's needs and marketing needs, etc. So this is one example. There may be many other oils. The one that Kiran is working in Dehradun at the Forest Research Institute is another example. It grows in the high altitude areas, can withstand environmental stress, very cold temperatures, but still give you a medicinal oil, good for the skin, good for skin conditions, and also for consumption. So I think there is a immense opportunity to rethink some of these things if we draw a wide canvas. If we look at health in terms of health promotion, what are the oils we can use? Snigdha guna is a very important aspect of human health. And I think a lot of us in the country are deficient for many of those gunas, and many conditions can be resolved. So somewhere I feel there is an opportunity for a slightly wider dialogue, and maybe some of our Ayurveda Vaidyas here, Jayesh might be able to add a few more thoughts about this and how to, that emphasis towards looking at health and less on the curative side, more on health promotion and generating employment, revenue streams, etc. And also the big connection with global health. One world, one health is the call from our Prime Minister's office, and it's a very, very mature and a very important call. One world, one health, and maybe that is another area where all of us must come together just to rethink and to discuss with the policymakers in New Delhi, with the Ministry of Ayush. And I hope all those avenues can be opened up just to show that we are also thinking in similar ways. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I would like to share here 3 points, sir. Number 1, maize corn silk is very much useful to reduce prostate. 5 researches have been conducted in Gujarat Ayurveda University in front of me also, that maize corn silk has a alkali, and char kalpana, we just make ash from maize silk corn, and that silk is again washed with the water, and crystal form alkali is very much useful in capsule form for reducing prostate. Number 2, our government had planned for AYUSH Gram, a unique innovative concept for village, a area without any artificial energy, without any artificial organic, completely organic for medicinal plants and for vegetables also. So that how and why that area, that concept is not being promoted, I don't know. Second was Urja Gram, energy gram, where all alternative energy were being used for those grams. So definitely it was a new concept, and those type of concepts should be increased to make our villages self-depend and in comparison to other states. Thank you. Now I would like to ask again Dr. Goyeshwar Patil ji. You are joined first time. Welcome. Dr. Goyeshwar Patil ji having hobby of photography, and his subject is on photography day on 19th. His topic is how to use photography in learning and teaching. So
Thank you, sir.
I would like to invite Dr. Goyeshwar Patil ji for his views on the topic. Hari Om, Swagatam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
What are your views on biofuel, sir?
Actually, now only I connected with this event, sir. I'm not go through that one, but nowadays the biofuel energy is very essential because the hike of the petrol and diesel rates. If the bio is produced through Ayurveda, then it's a great achievement, sir. Great achievement, and we have to think over that also.
Very right. Very right you are. So I am observing that various dignitaries are joined. Dr. Deepika ji, Dr. Anand Prakash Pandey, Dr. Rishi Bhatia. I would like to have opinion, your valuable opinion, because brainstorming समुद्र मंथन से ही अमृत निकलता है. तो इतने विद्वान यदि हमारे साथ हैं तो निश्चित उनकी ओपिनियन हम लोगों को कुछ नया रास्ता दिखाएगी, ऐसा मेरा मानना है. तो I invite Dr. Bhumika Deka ji. Ladies first, Dr. Bhumika Deka ji. Kindly unmute yourself. If am I audible? Am I audible to you first? क्या मैं आपको सुनाई दे रहा हूं?
Hello, Bhumika.
Pawan ji,
Bhumika.
while
नया सब्जेक्ट है
Bhumika
ना
is
सर. प्रॉब्लम ये है कि ये बिल्कुल नया सब्जेक्ट है.
हाँ हाँ.
हम अगले साल और एक्सपर्ट्स को जोड़ पाएंगे और बायोफ्यूल के बारे में आयुर्वेद से एक ब्रिज बना पाएंगे, ऐसी मेरी आशा है. जी बंधन सर कुछ बोल रहे थे.
Pawan ji, if there is some problem connecting, and while they are connecting, दो सवाल जी आपसे कि बता दो जी ये
Hello, sir. I am Thanga Kumar speaking.
वेलकम.
नमस्कार.
Yeah, namaskar. Actually, now we are using Ayurveda in textile. So now it's a very good, very good speaking. I was just listening. So that Dr. Madan Tangavil speech I was hearing, it is very good. So what is my query is that is it possible to have this fuel for everybody, for a common man, generally, because as an expert, so this is possible for the common man to use this fuel using Ayurveda. One question. And do we have the sufficient plant as a raw material for making this biofuel? These two things I want to have your clarification, sir.
Is this Thanga Kumar? Is this for me? The question?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I think it's for yes, Madan Tangavel, I think.
Thank you. First point I want to before I go on to answer your two questions. Number one, I want to thank you for your wonderful presentation last time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That day, actually I was in a remote village, and
Yes.
suddenly rain came, so I'm not able to continue that. So I'm very sorry for that, because then after the debate I didn't participate, sir.
So what I had written to Pavanji after your talk was that we want a more longer presentation from you. The way you describe preparing kashayams and the Triphala tracks and how you make sleep promoting bed sheets. These are all wonderful things. So number one, please discuss with Pavanji. I'm putting my contact details here for you. Sorry, I couldn't share it the last time because I saw your question much later. So I'm putting my details here. Please stay in touch because this is very, very important.
Sure. Yeah, actually, I'm very thankful to Sharma ji, who is promoting me and sending message, and I'm very much credited to him for introducing this session. Thank you, sir, Sharma ji. I think he is there.
You have shown us a completely new perspective how to use soap nut.
Yes, sir. Sir, generally, we are doing this for past 15 years. And I told you that because the sleep enhancing bedsheet, it works out in, because the skin, through skin, we can transform the goodness of Ayurveda, because in the bed, we are sleeping for a longer period. So the skin is one yandra which can absorb or emit also. So if you are sleeping on a toxic or a synthetically heavy metal dyed synthetic bedsheet, how your skin will accept? It will have allergy only. But when we are dying with our Ayurvedic herb, it will carry the goodness of the herb. So that can leach into your skin, and it will promote wellness. That was the basic philosophy of that sleep enhancing bedsheet. It is going very fine, sir. And once they are using our bedsheet, then they never go for synthetic or costly also. They are using our only. We are exporting to US also. Lot of things, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
No, I enjoyed very much the presentation. There are many people who suffer from something called MCS, multiple chemical sensitivity. It is a big
absolutely, yes.
MCS is
right, sir. You're right. Absolutely, yeah, you're right. Allergic to the textile. So that kind of people, they are using it. Now, for past 15 years, we are regularly selling to them, and they are very thankful to Ayurveda because we are using the Ayurveda herb only. Yes, sir.
So, Thanga Kumarji, what I would like, number one.
My name is Thanga. Thanga means gold, sir, in Tamil. Yeah, Thanga means gold, Kumar. You can call me Gold Kumar also. Understood. Because people don't have more gold, so they use it in the name.
Thanga, so number one is that we would like a longer presentation from you. We will arrange somewhere, Pavanji and Vishnuji, etc., because this is a very important area what you're offering.
If you want, I can. If you invite, I can also give more presentation because I have less time, so I was doing that. Thank you, sir. And you can answer my question now, sir. So, is it this biofuel is it possible for the to produce and available for the common man? That is my first question, sir. Then we have sufficient raw material or any plan for producing this kind of herbs or the plants?
Thank you. So I think you joined us late. You joined slightly late, but I will share the information with you and also the website. Number one, I take a slightly forward-looking, strategic, radical view on how we should use our land resources in India. We are a very small country. We are almost a very tiny amount of land, and almost 17% of the world's population is on this small piece of land. And so wherever we have land, we must see how to use it correctly, number one. And second thing, we are also very conscious of all the hydrocarbon emissions that are coming from exhausts of automobiles that are using hydrocarbon fuels. There is a health aspect related to it. Many of the health conditions, ill health around the world, is based on some aspect of environmental pollution, air pollution in particular, because it goes down into our lung aspects. The very important pranava shrotas is compromised, and then everything else is compromised. So people are becoming more aware of this, and hence the shift away from hydrocarbons or any burnt fuel to fuel forms that are either
Yes, sir.
electric or hydrogen or something like that, where the what comes out is new. So if we take your question and your question about plants, my feeling, this is a personal opinion, I feel we must, as a country, we must think more about better use of the land, because there is a shift in the emphasis on how we are going to generate power. We will generate our power for locomotion, for whatever transport, etc., will come more and more from sunshine, where we will convert it into either direct electricity or into hydrogen fuel. And India is already leading the show. We have many companies, Tata and also Mahindra. These are big companies who are already in that space. They have a lot of models. We now have seeing a lot of electric motorcycles, two-wheelers are there already. Hero, Honda is a big player in that space. So we will see that shift. It has come to inflection point where we will soon see a big shift away from fuel, the kind of fuel that we are thinking about, burning. We will move away from that very swiftly. Now, that is a good thing, because then your question will take a different form, saying, what will we do with that land that is currently being considered as useful for biofuel? Can we start doing something else on that land? Can we produce fiber, for instance? You gave us those areas where fiber it might be possible to produce certain fiber plants in areas where which are currently occupied for or planned for biofuel. There are many cacti that can produce high quality fiber. If you go to Philippines, for instance, they make clothes. We talked about silk the last time. They make clothes out of banana fiber, or they make clothes out of cactus fibers. There are certain drought-tolerant plants that will produce fiber. So we might have to rethink in a bigger way, Tangas. So that is my assessment.
Yes, sir.
That if we are,
Yes, sir.
you see, if we are shifting away from the kind of burnt fuel, then those land areas will be relieved, and we might want to go into new thinking. Pineapple leaf can produce fiber that can be used for clothes, just like we have linen that comes from flax, which is a very, very comfortable fabric to wear. So I feel
3 ड्रॉप करके कितना लिखा है 5 ड्रॉप्स
I'm addressing your question slightly differently, Thanga. I don't know if that helps.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm there, sir. You are right. You are actually talking about the other alternative natural fiber like banana, and I understood. We are also doing it in our yoga mats. Yes.
Yoga mats, exactly. And so the land, we have to do a complex interconnection between the shift in fuel consumption and the shift in how we are going to obtain energy. In my presentation, I started off with the first verse from the Rig Veda, where we are talking about Agni, the fuel, the energy for everything. If that emphasis is going to go towards sunshine, then we see a different perspective on how land will be used and the connections with land. So Thanga, I take a radical view here that we understand our land better. We see how to add value to that land if it becomes free for other uses. It may be 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, but think a little strategically and how to use our plant resources differently and better. And to use the kind of things you are teaching us, how to make healthier fabric, health promoting fabric, disease
Yes, sir.
preventing fabric, procedures. You have shown us how to integrate those two areas that sometimes gives us health problems. Pavanji was very right in saying there are a lot of people, hyperallergic individuals, who, if they put any unnatural fabric, the skin erupts. They have skin problems. And it
Yes,
is
sir.
those are the hyper responders. It is likely all of us are responding in that negative way, but our body can compensate for it. So if we can relieve those stresses also, then we live a less stressful life. So this is the way I would address your question about whether we have plants enough and whether we have, which direction do we follow? Modi ji's International Solar Alliance is telling us we will give solar energy to every house in India. And hence, Urja Gram, the comment made by Pavanji, Urja Gram and Ayush Gram. We have 670,000 villages in the country. And we need a new perspective on this. And that new perspective will come from the examples you are providing, the thinking that Pavanji has, Vishnuji has, doing things for promoting health and maintaining health and preventing disease, and new businesses, new employment, etc., etc. So a slightly different answer to your question, Tanga, but thank you for asking this question. I'm putting my contact details on the chat box here, and let us stay in touch. For a longer presentation from you, we want to hear more about the things you are doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, Madan, sir. Madan Tangavelu. Thank you, sir.
Related
Tangavelu is my grandfather name is Tangavelu.
Tangavelu.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Are you based in Trivandrum, Tanga? Tanga? Pavanji, I will have one request. I have one request for Tanga is here. Tanga, are you based in Trivandrum? No, Mr. Pavanji, I have one request for you. Could you tell us a little more about that Ayush Gram concept and the Urja Gram concept that you mentioned? Maybe you have thought about it already.
Sir, we applied it for Nainital AYUSH Gram project.
Okay.
Local persons are generally not interested, but government is interested. Government is unable to communicate and convince local persons that it is advantage for them. Whole system is a metamorphosis, just like metamorphosis. So, means they were planning for approximately 600 IOS grams per year, but they are unable to achieve the target there. In other hand, they have established various and numerous Urja grams, because there everybody is ready. But for IOS gram, medicinal plant cultivation, for organic cultivation only, and energy by different sources, that government is unable to communicate and convince local persons. That's why the promotion is not up to the satisfactory mark. Otherwise, this concept is very much useful.
Is this a state level initiative or is it a central government?
Central level initiatives, the central level initiative.
Thank
Government
you.
scheme is there.
I would love to learn a little more. I will do it offline. Thank you so much for adding a little more information. It is very important because
Thank you.
there are bigger, on the big canvas, then these kind of changes are very important, especially when there is an opportunity now to bring solar energy into every home and to reduce many of those previous burdens. And I'm hoping people like Tanga Kumar will help show us new ways for employment generation. I don't know how many people Tanga has in his unit and how that idea can be taken to other parts of India for high value employment generation. There are many other factors that need to come in to bring that change you are talking about. Maybe if you bring employment together with the thinking on Ayush Gram, then more people might accept that the transition will be easier, I feel. Maybe something else needs to be added to the masala to make that people say, ah, this is a good masala now. So the masala is still very not tasty. You know, उसमें थोड़ा और पता नहीं क्या कुछ डालने चाहिए, कुछ और शायद
Taste and answer.
हाँ जी, थोड़ा और शायद जो नमक जो आप यूज कर रहे हो उसको थोड़ा चेंज करो, थोड़ा पंचलवण. We might have to change something else there. It's not good enough. You know, people don't like that. So we are all with that disadvantage that we are all creatures of habit. We don't like to change our habits. If you tell everybody do nasya, you can get some prevention for certain conditions. They will not accept it. A simple thing, even if you show. So it takes time to change, to get the traction, to get the change. But I think with people like Vishnuji here with us and people who are really setting the trend like Tanga Kumar and showing how we can get benefits. And many other people here who are in that space, then we'll be able to keep the narrative going. We have to keep talking again. We have to keep the story going. Every week we have to talk about the same thing. And then people will say, ah, after 2 years, they'll wake up and say, oh, this conversation has been going on. It's just like saying the world's oldest textbook of medicine is Charaka Samhita. Even today, it hasn't changed. 2,500 years later, people still don't know what is Charaka Samhita. What can we do about it? 2,500 years old and older. Even now, people don't know what is Charaka Samhita. If I go to a modern medicine college anywhere in India and I take any student and I say, what is Charaka Samhita? They have no idea. I go to All India Institute of Medical Science in Delhi and I say, what is Charaka Samhita? Nobody knows. Students don't know. MD students have no idea. What can we do? This knowledge comes from our land, but our people don't know. It's the same thing with Ayush Gram. We have to do something else to make it exciting for them. They will all go to
Shweta type text should be included from in syllabus from schools.
Pavanji, Delhi chalo, ladai karo wahan.
Yes, sir.
Let us
अब तो मैं रिटायर हो चुका हूँ.
You have time with you, so now let us go. Let us take Vishnuji, go to the Ayush Ministry, and say we are coming from Assam. We have some messages for Assam or for the northeastern region, and start some discussion. I hope when we reach your 200th webinar in a few days' time.
On 22nd, sir. Raksha Bandhan.
Thank you. So I hope we would have a good set of points to present where we can raise all these things about discussing with NCERT about putting this in the syllabus so that every research institute, CSIR Research Institute, now is aware of this thing.
So thank you, sir.
We look forward to your leadership and Vishnuji's leadership for taking this message to the high offices in Delhi.
I have communicated and invited Central Health Ministers and Secretary for our 200th webinar on World Sanskrit Day. Sanskrit, mother of recitation, mother language of recitation. So I would like to communicate only 1 minute. Next day after tomorrow, our webinar is on Ayurveda for youth power. Experts will be delivering their lectures. On World Photography Day, on 19th, we have a unique webinar, Ayurveda, Rare and Best Photography. There, Dr. Goyeshwar Patil will also be guide for us. Then on 22nd, our 200th webinar will be there. So please join us and bless us forever from audience and experts also. For concluding remarks, as usual, our Professor Dr. Vishnu Prasad Sharma. You are mute, sir. Kindly unmute.
Okay. So respected Professor Madan Thangavalu, respected Pawan Kumar Sharmaji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I offer my sincere thanks to Professor Madan Thangavalu for his wonderful talk. Next, I would like to offer my sincere thanks to Dr. Pawan Kumar Sharmaji and all the audience, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen for joining this today's webinar. Thank you. Namaskar.
I would like to communicate thanks to you, sir, for your excellent presentation. No
Okay,
doubt.
thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, experts, and thank you, audience. Please join us whenever you have time and topic of your interest. Please join us. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Good night, everybody.
Vishnuji. Thank you for
Good night,
this
sir.
wonderful presentation on aspects of treatments that you mentioned also.
Okay, thank
Namaskar.
you.